Hi everyone, welcome back to the Knitting PT YouTube channel. This is where I talk about all things yarn related, knitting related, fiber related, because I am a new spinner continuing on my journey, and I am sharing my journey here with you all from a complete beginner to hopefully making somewhat decent yarn. My name is Andrea. You can find me here on YouTube and on Instagram as The Knitting PT. I'm an orthopedic physical therapist, and I share maker self-care reels on Instagram and here on YouTube for makers to learn how to take care of their bodies so that we can keep crafting and doing the things that we love and that bring us joy. You can find all my information in the description box below, links to my website, where I have a shop with on-demand videos and merchandise and massage balls, my Patreon, my Ko-Fi, my Ravelry pages, my Instagram. I will also link any of the makers or designers that I talk about in the description box below too. Anything else to say in my intro? I don't think so. I'm busy working behind the scenes on some really exciting new things that are coming to my shop, hopefully in the next 1 to 2 months. I'm really bad at keeping secrets, especially ones that like are my secrets that I'm really excited about. Like I will keep other people's secrets, no problem. But my own, I just have no chill. So I am doing all I can to keep this inside me because I know it'll be way more exciting to just reveal it when it's actually done instead of like teasing bits and parts here and there or talking about it. So yeah, but rest assured, if you are waiting for something new to come to my shop, I am working really hard on it and I'm really excited about it too. Okay, so let's just get into it. What I'm wearing today, this is the Downtown Hoodie by Tori Yu. She's Tori Knits NYC on Instagram. I test knit this for her. The pattern just released last week and I love it. It is a hoodie, okay, a raglan hoodie top down. It's got this beautiful stripe motif in the middle, though you can of course opt to not do the stripes like some of the testers did. And there is a hood with a I-cord drawstring here. So I love this hoodie. Like I really love it. It is so comfy. It's seriously so comfy. Like I really love it. If you follow me on Instagram, you know by now that I tend to style my knits in what I call knit leisure. So I wear, you know, sweatpants, leggings, like joggers pretty much like 99% of the time. The other time I'm wearing scrubs in my job. And yeah, and so I love just like having a dressed down casual look, and this hoodie fits perfectly into my wardrobe. I'm gonna put the hood on to show you what it looks like. Now, I'm gonna say that I seem to be the only person I've seen who had a problem with the hood being too small. Like this is literally as far as my hood goes. And I know some other testers like it comes all the way down here or they can cover their whole face with it. I have a pretty large head, honestly, so I think that's why. If I were to knit this again, I would try to modify it to make the hood deeper, because what it is that, so I don't know if you can see here, but I have like a kind of prominent like bump out here. It's like something that I think is kind of unique to my family. Like my husband doesn't have it, and his side family doesn't have it, but you know, my entire family has it. My kids have it too. Yeah, and so I think that's why my hood doesn't really fit, is because my head is like large. And like I know my head is large. I should have known that because when I knit the what's it called? When I knit the hats that I knit recently, they're also by Tori. What are they called? What is the pattern name? I don't remember what they're called, but I'm gonna link it down below. But when I knit them, I knit a size medium, adult medium for myself, and it fits, but it definitely like fits snugly around my head. And I knit the size adult large as a gift for my daughter's teacher, and that one fits me like really well. It's like really comfy, slouchy, super warm. So I think the next time I knit one, I'm gonna have to knit a large for myself. Yeah, I mean the medium is not too small, but it fits like just right. And even when I put it on, if I want my ears covered, like I don't have a lot of like space at the point on the top. Yeah, so I have a large head. No one else has seemed to have this problem with the hood not really fitting over their head all the way. So that's just me. But regardless of that, I really love this pattern. I really do. It's super comfy. It's so comfy. Yeah, I knitted, let's see, I knitted a cording pattern. The only modification I did was I knit a 1/2 inch longer on the body before I started the ribbing. And that was just because I knew kind of like what length I wanted to go for. The sleeves are perfect too. If you're new around here, I often struggle a little bit with having sleeves end up too short. Because usually when I'm doing sleeves, I'm trying not to make them too long, but then they inevitably end up like a little bit too short, or like, after blocking the fabric like shrinks back on itself a little bit, and I end up with sleeves where like they're more bracelet length, which most of the time I don't mind. For a hoodie, I definitely wanted though the full length, like to fit in with the vibes of a hoodie, and I definitely got that. Like, they're not too long, but they definitely cover my wrist, and I love it. Yeah, so if you haven't gotten this pattern already, definitely go get it. Could not recommend it enough. Like, I love Tori's patterns, and I think this is my absolute favorite one of them so far. Yeah, and as far as like, putting the drawstring in, she has a video tutorial on how to do it. It's super clear, very easy to follow, and yeah, so yeah, go grab your copy. Oh, mine is knit, is knit in J'adore fibers. The main color is J'adore fibers, Misty Mountains Cold. This is on her Freya DK base, and then the contrast color is Explorer Knits Joshua Tree National Park, and I had it in fingering weight, so I held a double to get gauge. Yeah, but yeah, super love it. Totally my style. These are definitely my colors, blue with a little bit of pink, which I am coming to terms with the fact that I do like pink. And all my friends are gonna laugh at me for making this admission as if it's like new news, because I think all of them know that that is not new news. Everyone but me. I have been in denial about the fact that I like pink. And I think it started from when I was a little girl, and I really fought back against the stereotype that girls must wear pink and girls must love pink and all that stuff. And I've just fought against it my entire life. And I think only now am I starting to be like, okay, I think I do like pink. And like, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not going to like be wearing pink all the time, but I'm coming to accept that yes, I do like to wear pink here and there and that kind of thing. So yeah, anyway, let's move on to finished objects. All right, so this week I've got 2 finished objects to show you. Yeah, it's been a fairly productive 2 weeks of knitting for me. Part of it is that in the 2 weeks since I last filmed, both my kids got sick, one after the other, and so I had a lot of knitting time, because especially when my son was sick, he is the younger one, and when he's sick, he wants me especially to always sit with him, even if he's just watching TV. And so I had a lot of knitting time because I had to sit next to him. So I had a lot of knitting time. So my first finished object is my Delinquent Carlisle saddle sweater. I call it Delinquent because it was a test knit that I did for Madison Moe, and it was due in like January, and I did not meet the deadline, because clearly it's now March. But I finally finished it. I'm really happy with it. I haven't woven in the ends yet, but I did block it. So it's blocked, but the ends aren't woven in yet. Here it is. So it is a 3x1 broken rib pattern. There's a saddle shoulder, and all the cuffs and hems are folded over. So it's super cozy when you put it on and you wear it. I'll probably wear it in my next episode. I just want to wear the downtown hoodie today because it released. And yeah, this is done in cat sandwich fiber, Sweet and Spookier, in her fingering weight base. It is so fun. So it is kind of this like light peachy pink base with all these fun neon speckles. And some like dark speckles in there too. It's just like speckly fun. Yeah, but I really love it. Yeah, I'm really happy to finally have it done. The one thing I did learn about myself in doing this is that I should not do fingering weight tests that are full-length sweaters. Like, if it's a fingering weight test, but it's like for a short sleeve tee or a vest slip over thing, fine. But if it's a long sleeved sweater, I should just not do any more of those tests, because, you know, fingering weight of course takes longer, and I think I should just save doing fingering weight long sleeve sweaters for, you know, my own projects, not for tests where I should meet a deadline. That's what I learned from this, and when that's what I've taken away. So yeah, but I am so happy, so relieved to finally have this done and to be able to wear it soon. And you know, the timing is kind of well because hopefully it should get warmer soon with spring around the corner, and this is a perfect weight in sweater for spring. Yeah, and the perfect colorway for spring. It's a very spring, actually, kind of sweater. So yeah. So this pattern is out. It's been out. So if you're interested, go check it out. I will link it down below. My next finished project is actually one that I cast on and cast off within the span of a week. And it is the Pearl Soho bandana cowl. Here it is. So it is a cowl. It's got this triangular point at the bottom. This was heavily inspired by Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes. She made a bunch of these around the holiday season as gifts. I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast here before, but I'd been wanting to knit my husband another hat. He picked out yarn for that, and what he picked was Woolberry Fiber Co. Acadia. And here is the leftover cake. This is what he picked out for his hat, but he actually has a lot of commercially knit hats, and so for a while I was trying to think about a pattern to make with it. But then when I saw the cowl, and then I thought about it, and he'd mentioned before, so my husband likes to go fishing and he bikes a lot when he's fishing, and there's a lot of, like, you know, cold wind, and he was mentioning he wanted something to like kind of block the wind out, and he had one time taken one of my cowls for that purpose, and so I thought, why don't I just make you one? Like, that's just, you know, yours. And the bandana cowl is written for like a kind of errand weight. It's size 10 needles. It's a free pattern, okay? So it's on size 10 needles. I think the yarn that they use is their plumpy yarn, which I think is like a heavy worsted to errand weight yarn. So I held 2 skeins of DK double. So then I picked another skein from my stash. This is Life in the Long Grass Aloe. It's beautiful, like kind of sea foamy green. So I held these 2 together because I did not think I had enough of one skein of DK to hold double to get it, and I was right because I didn't. I used like I think about 265 yards total, like of both of these together to make the cowl. So I definitely didn't have enough to hold like one skein of DK, because skeins of DKs are usually about like 230, 231 yards. So I'm glad I did that. So I held these 2 together, and I ended up with this beautiful marled fabric. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And, you know, it's marled, so there's like 2 strands held together, so I feel like it's extra cozy. I'm going to put it on to show you. So this is what it looks like on. Yeah, but yeah, it's like super warm. It really covers your entire neck. It's big enough so he could wear it up like this. Yeah, it fits great. So highly recommend this pattern. It's a great palette cleanser because it took me literally 2.5 nights to work on it, and then it was done. And it was a great way to kind of get that rush of finishing a project when you're in between like a lot of projects, especially if you're like me and you knit a lot of sweaters. You know, it can take 2 to 4 weeks for me to get like a finished garment out of one of my projects. And so it was really nice to get that, you know, dopamine rush of finishing a project and to have that in between, because then, I don't know, for me, when I bind off a project, it really motivates me to keep going on all my other ones, to cast on new ones. So anyway, it was really great. So yeah, so this is Bandana Cowl by Pearl Soho. Highly recommend. I really do like it. I'm definitely going to be probably making one for myself. I might make him another one eventually. I want to make one for each of my kids. Yeah, so highly recommend. All right, so moving on to works in progress. I have a lot to share this week. I cast on more things. One of them was the bandana cowl that I just showed, but I did cast on another new thing. Actually, I cast on 2 new things besides the bandana cowl, and I have my yarn wound up ready to cast on the 3rd. I think I'd mentioned the last episode that I am officially done with test knits for now. I don't have any test knits that are waiting. I don't have any test knits on the needles. And then I just kind of like threw myself with abandon into the fact that I have no deadlines and can do whatever I want. I mean, I can always do whatever I want when it comes to knitting, right? Like, I can do whatever brings me joy, but it is a unique kind of joy to not have a deadline for anything. And so and to not be like, oh, you know, I should work more on this one project because it's due soon, and you know, the other ones will have to wait. Like, it's kind of fun to just be like, hey, I want to cast on something. If I have the needles, I have the yarn, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it now. Yeah. So that's kind of what's been happening over here. So let me give you an update first on all my older works in progress. One of them is my Miles shirt jacket by Ozetta. I don't think I have much to say on this one. I've knit a little bit on it since. I think the last episode I had just joined to work on the body, and so I'm about like 3 inches into the body now. Yeah. And I think this one's going to be like a, you know, a slow work in progress for me. Like, I will work on it when I feel like it. I don't really have any deadline for it. So yeah. And this is in Durham Natura's Gilead base, which is a woolen spun DK weight. The pattern actually calls for like worsted weight, I believe, but I had the Gilead in stash, and I swatched, decided I liked the fabric I got with it, so I just went with it. And the colorway on this is Tempet. My next work in progress is the Sheep Camp Sweater by Jennifer Berg. And here it is. I am still working on the yoke, but I'm probably like, I think 3/4 of the way, 3/4 of the way through. Here it is so far. Let me straighten it out so you can see it better. It looks beautiful. I really love it. Yeah. It's beautiful. The color work is so striking. Super striking. What I'm knitting this in, this is both J'adore fibers. This is in her Luminous DK base, which is 70% merino, 30% silk. The colorways are Stormy and Mint Condition. And it is knitting up so beautifully. Yeah. I did a yoke try on probably like when I was like up to here, and it was fitting great. I think what I might do though, because I should probably do another yoke try on in some way, but you can see here, like if I'm holding up to where it should lay, I am almost to my armpit here. So I think what I'm going to do is omit a little bit of the repeats of this kind of triangular repeat, and then move on to the rest of it, just so I don't have a super deep yoke. Yeah, but I really like it. Modifications I've done so far is to add I cast on with a ribbed collar, and then did the pattern as written. It is written for rolled hem, and I don't really like rolled hems. And also I wanted more structure at the neck, just to provide more structure so that the garment doesn't like stretch out over time, which sometimes does happen to me. Yeah, and especially since this is a silk base, it will have more drape. It might be a little heavier, so it could tug more on the fabric. So I just added the ribbed collar just to provide more structure. Yeah. I love it. And my next work in progress are the Snowden socks. I cast this on because Sarah of Knitting in Texas and Bethany of Woolberry Fiber Co. were doing them. And I've been wanting to knit socks. One of my goals for this year is to get back into sock knitting. So my goal is to knit 1 pair of socks this year. But I'm thinking I'm going to frog these. And for a variety of reasons. So here's what I've got so far. I'm knitting them tandem, so like not 2 at a time, but like 2 on their own needles, the way that Stephanie of Edible Thoughts Makes does it. So here's what I've got so far. Okay, you can see here the cable repeat. I really struggled with doing cables on tiny needles and to do them like without cable needle, because I knew if I had a cable needle, it would just be way too fiddly with all the tiny needles everywhere. So I did learn how to do the cables without a cable needle, but it was really difficult. And I got it down, but I'm thinking I'm gonna frog these because for a variety of reasons. So one, I want my foray back into sock knitting to be a little bit more joyful. Like, I don't want to be stressing about it, and I don't want to feel stressed every time I work on them. And that's how I'm feeling right now because of the cables. Yeah. So I'm thinking I should have just done like a simple vanilla sock, stockinette sock for my foray back in. The other thing is too, I'm realizing that I don't think this yarn is the best pairing for the cables. So the yarn is variegated. It's from Plank and Stella. It's called the Owlery. And I think it's just like a little too variegated for the cables to really stand out. Yeah. And the other thing, the third reason is because This is my first time knitting cuff down. I usually, when I knit socks years ago, I always knit them toe up because I felt like if I could try them on, I would feel better about how they fit, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not sure of how well they're gonna fit, you know? And so I think if I finished these socks and they didn't really fit, I would feel really devastated because I put a lot of work into the cables. Whereas if I just had a plain stockinette sock, I don't think I would feel as devastated if the sock didn't fit that well because of the amount of work put in. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I think I'm gonna actually frog these, and I'm just gonna cast on some self-striping socks and do plain stockinette just to, you know, get myself back into the rhythm of knitting socks. I think what I might do is this skein here. So I got this from Adriel from Wax and Skein. She had a D-stash and she sent me this. This is from Falcarai Fibers. She does self-striping yarns. This is from her Middle Earth series from Lord of the Rings, and this colorway is Galadriel. Yeah, and you can see it's already wound up into this really fun gobstopper ball is what they call them. So yeah, so because it's already wound up, I don't need to wind it. I'm gonna do these. So I'm gonna frog those, I'm gonna cast on these, and yeah, and just find my joy again. Yeah. Okay, so on to new cast-ons. So one of the new items I cast on was a vest for my daughter. And this is a vest that is, it's not actually a pattern yet. So I'm not going to say much about it, and I can't really point you anywhere except that it will be coming out for testing, I think, later in the spring. I know the designer. I forgot to ask them how much they wanted me to say about it here. So I'm just gonna err on the side of like not saying much. And I'll ask them for next time. But yeah, it's a pattern. I'm good friends with the designer. I knew they were making a vest for their child, and they offered to let me have the pattern too. And it's not tech edited or anything like that. It's not tech edited yet. It's not ready for testing, but you know, I said, I don't really care. Like, you know, if you're willing to share with me, I'm happy to do it and to, in a sense, be an unofficial, I guess, tester, tech editor, blah, 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 not tech editor, unofficial tester or whatever. But this is going to be a vest for my daughter. Here's what I got so far. So it's bottom up, and it's going to be a buttoned vest. I can't remember right now if it's a V-neck or not. I don't really remember. I didn't really read the whole pattern through. I just like read what I had to and cast on. I was in that kind of mood. Anyway. So here it is so far. I've got about 5 inches of the body. I think I've got another 5 inches to go before I split for, you know, armholes front and back. And the yarn I'm using for this is Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is from the Downton Abbey collection. And this is Mary's colorway, which is called Have You Heard? It's this beautiful kind of teal blue, teal turquoisey blue with some dark specklings in there. And this colorway, I've noticed, is really hard to photograph. It's really hard to get accurate on camera. Yeah, and I've noticed that every time I've either taken a photo of it or shown it off on camera, it definitely looks more blue than turquoisey teal, even with as much color editing as I can do. So it's just very turquoisey teal in person. Yeah. I'm holding a double because the pattern is written for a worsted gauge and I have it in fingering weight. So yeah, so that's what I've cast on so far. And I really like it. The fabric I'm getting is pretty drapey, but it's still kind of like, you know, it's not stiff, but it's not too drapey either. Yeah. Yeah, so this will be a vest for my daughter because she loves wearing her hand knits. And I just want her to have more in her rotation so that she can kind of alternate between them more, because for a while she was going on this thing of wearing the same vest every single day for like weeks on end, and like, you know, she would wear different pants and a different shirt underneath. I was just like, I would like you to have more variety in your wardrobe. Yeah. The next item I've cast on is a Moonset tee by Ozetta. And if you watch RO Knits and Pearls podcast, you probably already know this, but I am going to Salt Lake City in May to go visit her and Megan, Kimchi & Co. And we decided that we wanted to knit not the same pattern, but the same pattern family, and, you know, have a squad photo together. So we picked the Moonset pattern family from Ozetta. I am knitting the T. I believe her and Megan are both knitting the pullover version. And I chose the T because I've actually had it in my queue for a while. I bought yarn specifically for it. And so I was just like, you know what? This is a great push to actually cast it on and get it done. I am using, again, Woolberry Fiber Co. And this is in the colorway Swan Lake. So this is what I've got so far. I'm working on the back. It's this beautiful beigey oatmeal-y color. And I'm going to show it to you in the cake too. Or actually, I have a skein of it here that's not wound up yet. And I'll show it in the skein. Yeah, so this is fingering weight. I'm really excited to be working on this and to have it done in time for my trip. Yeah, so I think that in terms of my WIP management, this is now going to be my main project that I work on at night because, you know, I have a deadline for this one. I want to have it done by the time I go to Salt Lake City in the beginning of May. So this will be my main project. My secondary main project will be the vest for my daughter because I also want her to be able to wear that before it gets too warm. And then all my other projects are, you know, my secondary projects I'll work on during the day on 30-minute increments when I have time. So yeah, so that is all the projects I've got going on. And it's quite a lot, I know, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying my test knit freedom, even though it won't last super long. Because there's already a test knit that I know I'm going to sign up for in April. The designer already told me about it, and I already told her, you know what, you're gonna be my test knit for the second quarter. So I've got a good month before that starts. So got a good month to get a lot of headway on all these projects. Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna go into what I'm still calling fiber talk, for a lack of a better term. So I didn't take any videos in the last 2 weeks of me actually spinning, just because I felt like, you know, if you're just gonna watch me spin, it's like kind of boring after a while. You know, it looks the same, and especially when I'm still practicing. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my progress that I've made so far on all my bobbins, and then show you some things that require too for spinning. So yeah, so first of all, let me get my bobbins. So 2 weeks ago, you know, I showed you all that I finally succeeded in getting my fiber to uptake onto my bobbin, and that I've been really struggling with that for a really long time. And finally got that to work. So now I'm finally, you know, spinning much better. You know, I'm not having any problems with uptake. Instead of what I'm working on right now is getting my yarn to be more consistent and getting more twist into the fiber as it uptakes onto the bobbin. And I'll kind of show you what I mean as I go through. So I'm going to show you my 3 bobbins I have finished, and you'll probably be able to see the progression of my progress through it. And it's kind of neat actually to see that. So here's my first bobbin. And you can see here, you know, there's definitely some areas where it's starting to look like yarn, but there's definitely a lot of areas where it's just super thick fiber. And it's not very consistent, as you can see. And I think if I were to like unwind this off the bobbin and try to apply it, a lot of it would just like fall apart. There's just like not a lot of like, I think, structural integrity to it, for a lack of, I don't know what to call it, elsewise. Here's my second bobbin. You can see here it's getting much more consistent. My yarn, you know, the yarn is getting thinner and resembling more like what we see as finished yarn. There's definitely still some chunks where it's just like fiber without much twist. Yeah. And then my third bobbin I have here, right here. So you can see it's getting much more consistent, especially in this area up here. You can see here, like down here, there's still some thick parts that don't have much twist to them. Yeah, and so, you know, I'm still getting the hang of it. I'm still like learning the muscle memory to it as well. I'm definitely getting much better at drafting my fiber, of like pulling my fiber out so that it can get the spin into it. What I'm needing to, I think, improve on is getting more spin into it and getting it more consistent so that, you know, it's not thick and thin all over the place. Yeah, and honestly, I think why it got, so like you can see my second bobbin is a little bit more consistent, I think, than my third. And I think part of that is because when I was working on my third one, I had gotten comfortable enough with drafting that I started, my PT brain started going off, and I started like thinking about like, how can I change the way I'm sitting, how I can change the ergonomics of my hands and how I'm drafting so that it's not as intense on my hand and it's not so stressful on my fingers. And then that broke my concentration of trying to draft consistently. And yeah. But I am definitely getting a lot of ideas. Like, it's gotten me really excited actually, because the project I'm working on to bring to my shop, I think is going to be also really great for spinners. And that's all I'm going to say about it, but it has me super excited about everything now. Yeah, super excited. Anyway, so yeah, so those are my 3 bobbins I've done so far. My plan right now is that, you know, I've got this bobbin, which is not bad, and I'm currently working on a 4th bobbin, which I have here still on my Nano E-spinner. And you can see here, this one's like, you know, it's got a little inconsistency in it too, honestly, yeah. But I think they're both good enough that I can try to ply them together. When this bobbin is full, I'm going to ply them together and like learn how to ply and then see how the result looks. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. One thing I've changed too, one thing I've done new is that I've also subscribed to the School of Sweet Georgia. So you never heard of them. I knew about the School of Sweet Georgia kind of like tangentially for a while, but Sweet Georgia Yarns, who is a yarn dyer located in Canada, she has a online school where they have classes that you can take at your own pace online for all sorts of fiber art related things. Things from like knitting, spinning, crocheting, dyeing, all this stuff. And it's a really great resource actually. But I'd heard about their spinning courses first through Tashi of Stitches and Starlight. And then Christina, How Scotty Knits, has also been kind of giving me tips on Instagram about what I can improve on and what can I do to make my yarn more consistent. And so she also highly recommended the spinning course. So I subscribed. I'm currently working through the Intro to Spinning course. I'm really excited. I haven't really gone that far into it yet, but I'm really excited to work through it and to really learn more as I keep going. Yeah, so hopefully the next time I film, I'll have hopefully try to ply my yarns already and I'll have something to show you for that. Yeah, but let's move on to kind of what I've gotten in to kind of inspire me and also to practice with. So far, the fiber I've been using to practice with is it's from the Woolery, and it was recommended by Young Folk Knits as a good fiber to practice with. I think it's just called like Rosie's Top Wool or something, but as far as the fiber content, it just says mixed. Yeah, but I was talking to Cece, Stitch Witchcraft, and she is also learning to spin, and she really recommended the Corriedale wool from the Woolery. So I got some to practice with more, and I got them in colors because I figured, you know what, if I actually get something with color, it might also feel like way more fun too to see the color. So I got, of course, 2 colors that are like kind of blue and gray. So this one is ash, and this one is, wait, no, they both say ash. No, this is fog, and this is indigo. And I guess I could take it out of the bag. I haven't even taken it out of the bag yet. So here's kind of what that looks like. Beautiful deep blue, and then this beautiful gray. Let me open this bag to show you. Anyway, so yeah, these are both 100 grams. So I think what I might do is spin these both up and then ply them together. That's the loose plan so far. Okay. So now I've got fiber everywhere. Okay, and then I've also gotten some really fun things in the mail. So I don't remember if I mentioned it. I might have forgotten, but I met Yoni Makes when I went to Vogue Knitting Live, Susan. And she, in addition to designing knitwear, also dyes fiber. So I bought some fiber in her latest update, and she was super sweet and sent me some extra bits of fiber to practice with. So here's what I bought first. So first I bought, and I'm not going to take these out of the bags because I just don't want them to get like mixed up with everything, and you know, fiber is just kind of loose flowing, so I'm just going to keep them in the bag, sorry. So this is roving, and it is Rambouillet roving, and this colorway is called Pine Rain. And then I also got a art bat from her. And our art bat, from my limited knowledge, is like a combed preparation. And this one has organic Polworth and merino wool and sari silk, and it's called Salty Speckle. And I will link her Instagram below, and on her Instagram she has videos of her spinning these and of what the finished yarn can look like, and it's so pretty. Yeah, so this is what I'm aiming to be able to spin soon, or not soon, what I'm aiming to be able to spin. Like, this is my inspiration. I want to be able to spin this into yarn that looks great and to be able to use it. So this is like my end goal right now. Yeah. And then she sent me little bits of wool too to try out, like different things. So this is another art bat. It's a smaller one, but this has Corriedale and sari silk. Really pretty. It's got some blues in there too. And then she also sent a little bit of a comb top of merino wool and mulberry silk. Yeah, so super sweet. Thank you, Susan. I'm really excited to work with these soon, hopefully. So my goal is, again, to outline my plan, I guess. I feel like I'm in school again with like making plans and like checklists and goals, and it's really fun. It's really exciting. Is to ply those two bobbins of my undyed yarn together, and then to spin the Corriedale, the gray and blue Corriedale I got, and apply those together. And if that looks decent enough, then I think I will start on some of these art bats or the comb tops. I might probably start with the comb top first because I think that's supposed to be easier, or the roving. And yeah, so I was like thinking at first that I want to work, so I got quite a lot of the undyed top, like of this stuff to practice spinning with. And I had thought to myself, I'm not going to get anything else until I work my way through all of it and practice through all of it. But I think I did need a dose of inspiration and a dose of color to keep me really excited. So I'm really glad I got these small things, because now, you know, they're just sitting in a basket. I can look at them every day and be inspired, and like, they're beautiful just sitting there by themselves too. But I can look at it and like be like, you know what, I'm working towards the goal of being able to spin those and feeling like I'm worthy of spinning those and doing them justice. And yeah, it's just really exciting. Yeah. So I hope that, you know, watching my spinning journey is inspirational to you, whether or not you want to spin or not. Like, I had some people tell me like that they really appreciated that I was being very honest and out there about my spinning journey, because as you can see, I'm not very good at it, and I also really struggled for a while. And you know, my goal on social media is always to be real and to be honest. Like, I'm not a very curated person to begin with, and I'm also like kind of lazy, so I'm not the person who's going to put together a curated feed. And like, you know, a lot of times, you know, I take a picture and I'm like, you know what, like, that looks good enough to me and I'm gonna post it. And obviously I put more effort into things like my videos and my paid for content. But my Instagram, I never aim for it to look curated or to look influency, if that makes sense. That makes sense. Like, I think you know what kind of profiles I'm talking about, like the kinds where, you know, everything's perfectly curated, everything looks perfect. Like, you know, my life's not perfect, and lives are not perfect. And I never want someone to look at my feed and think that I have such a perfect life and that they're suck or anything. Like, that's not my goal. And that's the same with how I share about my making journey too. And so especially with the spinning, where it's something where I'm a true beginner, learning from the beginning, learning a completely new to me skill, I wanted to be open and honest about how I'm doing. Like, you know, I didn't want to, even though there was a part of me that was like, maybe I should wait to show anything until it actually looks good, right? Because we all have that perception of like, you know, I want to show off my best side. But I also thought like that's kind of not dishonest, but I don't know, like I was honestly feeling kind of discouraged about seeing all these like new spinners out there showing off their first yarns and them looking so perfect. And, you know, of course there are people who are going to take to things more naturally. And so for all I know, that is definitely their first spin. And I know I shouldn't be comparing myself, but it can be really hard to not compare yourself when everything you see online is all you see, right? And so I wanted to just be raw and honest and real about how I'm doing. So I hope you enjoy seeing that. Yeah, because like clearly, you know, I'm not very good at spinning yet, and I struggled for many days to get to even the point of, you know, putting this on a bobbin. Yeah. And I just want to be real about that, because I think especially in the age of Instagram and social media, everyone's putting their best foot forward, and it can leave you with this false sense that you're the only one struggling and no one else is, which is absolutely not true. Yeah, so I didn't really mean to get on a rant about that or a tangent about that, but it's just, I had some people reach out and say they appreciated that I was showing all the failures I was going through. And, you know, like I appreciate that too, because it is a type of vulnerability to put yourself out like that. And so I appreciated people telling me that they felt seen in that way. So I'm here to say, like, if you're struggling with something, I struggle with things all the time. So I hope that seeing my spinning journey helps you feel not so alone, whether it's your own struggle with spinning or your struggle with something else. You know, we're never alone in terms of struggles. It's just not everyone shows it, which is fine. But I want to show mine and be open about it. Yeah, because that's just me. Like, that's just genuine. I'm not curated. So why would I curate something else? Anyway, whatever. All right, so that is it for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. If you watched to the end, thank you for sitting with me this entire time. I felt like I had a lot to say today, probably went off a lot of tangents, maybe talked a little too fast, but either way, thank you for joining me here. I'd love to hear how you're doing and what you're working on. I know last time I asked about something that you want to learn that's new to you, and this time I think I'm just gonna ask you, like, you know, how's your March going? You know, like March I feel like is always that in-between of when winter is starting to come to a close and spring is just around the corner. I don't know about you, but you know, we had a lot of sickness in my family the past 2 weeks and we're finally getting over it, but I feel like sometimes this time of year can feel a little long. Yeah, so how is your March going? How are you doing? And I hope that wherever you are, that you are finding joy and you're making every day. I hope that you are finding little pockets of joy and sunshine, or if you don't have sunshine, just pockets of moments for yourself. Thank you for joining me, and I'm going to sign off now, and I will see you all hopefully in 2 weeks. Happy knitting.